Okay, folks, welcome to this morning's Fife Property Show. Today, we're going to be talking about something quite controversial, changing estate agents. Could a fresh start actually be the key to getting your home sold? It doesn't always work out with your first choice of estate agent, remember. Perhaps things went well at first, but viewings are now thin on the ground. Maybe your sense of your agent's initial enthusiasm has begun to cool. Or you could be wondering if your home was overvalued at the start. It is possible to overvalue in a home report, by the way, and we might talk about that through this conversation, particularly if you've been pressed for a hefty price reduction now. Should be some justification behind that, to be honest. Being stuck on the market is no fun, and when your neighbours are selling their homes and you're being whisked away by removal vans as well, there comes a point when you start to think about a new approach to the conversation. But how can you be sure changing estate agents will turn your fortunes around? Well, with luck, you don't need to go back to school. We're here to tell you. Today, in today's show and podcast, you'll be finding everything you need to do to switch with confidence and pick the best estate agent to get you your move back on track. Now, let's be clear here. This is not about instigating anybody to do anything different other than giving you the best advice with your existing estate agent in order to help them to help you. Because not every single estate agent knows exactly what they need to do in order to get it forward. Some are more experienced than others. That's exactly why some have been here longer than others. So, Perry, with this conversation, do you think, what's your overall view of this in the beginning, though?
I think my overall view is you're absolutely right. You know, there can be trends within property. You know, we do shows about it quite frequently, don't we? And we do get sometimes, or you will see instances where I look online and I think a property looks fantastic and you wonder how it's not sold yet. And there are varying reasons for that to happen. And it could be that the relationship soured between the seller and the agent. It could be, as you say, it's overpriced, and we see that as well. It could be actually the way the property is presented might not be right. So we see a kind of varying degrees. But it's, as you say, Jim, it's not about making someone switch. It's about giving someone guidance and advice, and maybe if things are not going the way it's planned, you know, how do they challenge it, and what should they expect from their current agent to get them across the line? Because it's the biggest pressure point for people, isn't it?
Absolutely. Anne-Marie, what's your thoughts on this overall?
Yeah, my thoughts are, you know, it's really important to have a really good relationship with your agent. You know, at the beginning when they're coming out to do a market appraisal, you may have a few that come out, and you know, it's good to have that relationship, that confidence that they're going to call you and update you each time. Because you know, generally you're going to be having a relationship with that agent for, you know, until your property's sold. So you really do need that connection. That, you know, communication is the key.
It's your biggest tax-free asset that somebody's handling, in essence.
Absolutely.
And to have someone not be able to take that forward and not able to give you an answer to the question, maybe doesn't instill the greatest confidence in that person further down the line. You know, the first part might be absolutely fantastic, but the back end after that, what happens in the back office is a different story. It is all about communication. Overall, I just think to myself, it's all about communication. It's all about making sure somebody's been updated and they're abreast of the situation. That's the key here. But I mean, really, what would be somebody's reason for changing a estate agent, Perry?
Oh, people change for many reasons, don't they? We've kind of touched a little bit on there just now. But for me, certainly from what I see, the most common reasons that we hear when switching can include a variety of things. But, you know, it could be their plans have changed because actually moving's maybe more urgent. So, you know, maybe they have, as we're always telling people, they've gone to market with their property but without necessarily finding the one that they want to buy. You know, so the seller might be selling and hasn't yet bought yet. So they're quite happy for time to kind of elapse and hang it out and see how long it takes. But then suddenly their dream home comes along. And this is what we always talk about, doesn't it? The dream home comes along, they get it, and then they suddenly go, oh, hang on a minute. Now there's a huge pressure point for me. So, you know, those things can alter things overnight for the seller, definitely. So, you know, that's a big factor.
I think it's a case that someone's maybe happy just to take, God, I dare I say it, an inferior estate agent in the beginning because it's cheap. And the fact that, you know, that over time it probably will sell and they don't see the value add in terms of what an experienced estate agent's doing, and maybe actually charges a wee bit more?
Yeah, I think absolutely you're right with that, Jim, because controversial comment I'm going to make here, but we all independently as one person think that our house is the most beautiful thing in the world, don't we? And we get this often. We get people who will phone to register who are interested in viewing property with us, and they'll say, well, mine's is not sold yet, but I'm not worried about that. It will fly off the shelf. You know, we all have that image of our property that's going to sell really quick. So some people may think it'll sell itself anyway, so we can just go with the online cheapest chips option because it's going to sell.
The amount of times I've heard people say that it'll fly off the shelf, and then the amount of times it's not happened as they expected. They've got a preconceived idea built on the probably the image of what everybody else has told them round about them. Now, what I would say to these people, if they are tuning in or listening in, is make sure the person actually telling you that information is actually of an experienced position, and it's not just their opinion, because there has to be some facts that actually back up what somebody's telling you. And if there's no facts to that, then why would you listen to them?
Yeah.
And why would you take that on board? It's probably quite important. What about the one that their home's been on the market for a long time with no or only low offers? What's your thoughts on that?
For me, I think that there could be multiple reasons for that. It could be that we've talked about it earlier, the price is not right. So it could be that the property is overpriced. And one of the things that we do as a team when we are getting feedback on viewings is we will always try to endeavour to get price feedback as well. So, the surveyor will value a property what they value it at, but if the price point's not there, sometimes people won't go along, or they'll go along and then they're going to put a low offer in because the condition of the property, for instance, might not be as they've anticipated, even though they've seen our video and our photos and all of our online kind of marketing piece and our social media. But they might get there and go, actually, there's more to do than anticipated. And some potential buyers actually feel that it's the owner's responsibility to pay for those costs to change it the way that they want it to be. So, that can have a reflection on offers as well. It could be actually the presentation of the property isn't right. So people are coming along and they're thinking, this is not really what I expected, and therefore they offer a low price. Or actually the presentation of it is not in a positive light, that people say, actually, it's not drawing me in. It doesn't make me want to go and see it. I can't see how this house would work for me because it's not presented properly. So they could be a couple of reasons why that would be.
Or it's possible that the price feedback hasn't been given to the seller, and they don't understand why they're getting these low offers, or they're not getting any offers at all. That then comes to a different price point, doesn't it? We discussed this yesterday with one of our clients, and the fact that they're in between the bandings on Rightmove, in other words, on Zoopla, for example, 350, and the next step is 400. So if you're sitting at 395, you're not really hitting anything at 400 and up, but you're only getting up to the 400 and up. So you're hitting one audience. You're not getting the next audience unless somebody does 390 upwards. But that's a difficulty because most people will just go for the around 400 in their mind, or that's what I think anyway, or that's what I believe over time. So you're missing half of your audience. So the next price step after that, if you were going to do anything, would be offers over 350,000. But who on earth is going to take a £45,000 hit? Well, it's not a hit. It's actually just introducing your property to a different audience. And that different audience is expecting to pay over the home report value. So you imagine when they go, yeah, I'm interested, send me the home report. And they get the home report, and the home report's at 395. And then they go, oh, right, okay. So potentially I'll probably have to offer just over 400. See how that just moved up there? That's exactly how people think psychologically.
Yeah, definitely. I agree completely. And actually, when you're not giving that feedback to your client, to then surprise them with something like that, that can be quite negatively accepted.
It's always viewed as I'm giving money away, when in actual fact you're not giving money away. You're just introducing your property to a different type of person at a different price point. Potentially, though, it's then up to your agent actually to qualify them to make sure they can afford the original price point. And if they can't, there's maybe no point in bringing them round, but it still invites them to an audience because people are very cautious. It's like they do have generally the rule of thumb, what I've always known in a estate agency is everybody's got 10% more than they're actually looking for. And it's generally the rule of thumb, and it works very, very well. Also, the thing is, they're disappointed in the marketing of their home. I've got to say, the other day, I've just actually bought another property, and I'll tell you, it's not through an agent, it's through a property sourcer who is actually, the property is on with an agent just now. But I tell you what, the property sourcer's photographs compared to the agent's photographs are like night and day. The property looks like a brand new property inside. The one on the agent's website looks horrendous. And I'm like, who on earth? Why would nobody notice that? Why would nobody keep abreast of that? Why would nobody see that? Why would not even the seller actually see that and understand that? But I guess that's that I guess in my mind, I think everybody thinks like I think, and everybody's acts like I think. But I suppose you don't know what you don't know, and it's our job to make sure you know that, and that's why you employ an experienced estate agent.
Yeah, I think as well, you're right there when you say what you don't know, you don't know. We also, I mean, we have repeat customers, don't we? I mean, it's not always that a person remains in the same home, so we will get that repeat custom. Or we might meet a new client who is looking for something different. They've maybe bought and sold in Fife for a few times. I was at a client the other day who had been working with a previous agent and didn't want to go back with that previous agent. And the reason that they said that that was the case was because of the whole way that it was marketed. They didn't think the quality of the photographs were there. They didn't think that there was a social media presence. They didn't think that the property was marketed right. And actually some of these points we're talking about were the frustrations that they had felt. And actually we've had a really successful story with that particular property, which is fantastic. And I'm really pleased about that. And our client's very pleased about it. But it does come down to that confidence you have and also how things are going to be marketed, and not just having that attitude of it will fly off the shelf. Because, you know, we're seeing more property coming to market. There is a little bit more competition out there. So you do need to make yours stand out from the crowd, and it has to be different.
What are some other things we need to think about and be vigilant then for what's your reason for changing a estate agent?
So for me, I mean, you know, they're getting no viewings or they're getting no new inquiries. So there could be multiple reasons for that. You know, the right audience isn't seeing it because it's not been marketed the right way. It could be that your agent actually isn't following up on those inquiries. So that, you know, they may have inquiries for home reports, etc. But, you know, is your agent being proactive, and is your agent actually phoning those people that have asked for home reports and saying, you know, we sent you the home report. Are you wanting to view? You know, we're at the property on X day. Would you like to come along? You know, it's about all that proactiveness. So there could be reasons, you know, where the foot traffic is low. They might be being pushed to reduce their price, and it's much lower than the agent's initial valuation, because, again, we've spoken about this before, some agents, to get a listing, may have a number in their mind that attracts the client, and that's why the client goes with them, because it's a number that's pleasing for them, rather than having that realistic discussion about how you would market it, what price point you market to, then actually it's the end number that we're achieving, not necessarily the starting point. Because if you're starting at a point where it's way out of and expected what the market is willing to accept, because let's be honest, doesn't matter what the survey says, doesn't matter what price you put on Rightmove, a house is only worth what someone will pay for it. So if you've not got that foot traffic and someone coming along that feels that they want to part with their cash for your property, there could be the reason that it has been overinflated.
Absolutely. I was round at somebody's house yesterday, in actual fact, in East Neuk, and we had a discussion, and I said, you know, I know you've got a 3-bedroom, 3 big bedrooms, and you've got potential to extend. You've got that lounge and you've got that family room as well, but they use the family room as an open plan lounge, dining, kitchen as well. So it's a huge area, and they don't really use the other one. I says, well, ideally you'd want to say then you've got a 4-bedroom, because then the one downstairs would be adaptable to somebody that could only live on one level. Maybe an extended family. And they said, but why would we do that? And so they didn't understand why I was saying 4-bedroom, because everybody actually, what they first do is they go for price bandings first. And then the next thing they do is, how many bedrooms do I get for that?
Correct.
So if your property is at, you know, 350,000 or whatever it is, funny enough, that's just about round where it was. If your property is round about that value, and then somebody sees that they can get maybe a 5-bedroom or a 4-bedroom, and you've only got 3 bedrooms, they're probably going to click on that one first, if you're all the same value. So that's the reason for that. And Andrea makes a really good point there. I think she says, I think Joe Blogs doesn't appreciate how much more a good estate agent with fantastic marketing expertise can actually get. It far outweighs what they need to pay for that service in the first place. And it can be the fundamental difference. I often say to people, it's like, if I can get X amount over the home report, then you're effectively getting me to get the fees, recover the fees for you from everybody, including the solicitor and the home report and everything like that. And you're getting cash back in the exercise. So you're getting me for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And people laugh, and it's like, that's effectively what my job's to do.
Yeah.
That's what a good estate agent does, effectively outweighs the cost of what they're doing or the investment in their services with the fact that they can negotiate a higher price than every other estate agent.
And it is all about that negotiation. You're absolutely right. We had a situation the other day with a property as well, where we were looking at a number and we managed to improve that number for our client, and our client was over the moon. Because whilst they were happy to go with one set, they got something that was improved for them. So again, that's your value add, and that additional amount that they received, as you said, Jim, it's paying for their fee.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's another one. This is actually quite a good one. They don't enjoy talking to their agent, or the relationship is less than ideal. Why would that happen? Why would you then employ somebody in the first place if you didn't enjoy talking to them or the relationship was less than ideal? How would that happen?
Yeah, sometimes it's when the initial person maybe that went out to value the property isn't the person that they're actually going to be dealing with. And some people, you've got some estate agents, no disrespect to other estate agents, but, you'll ring them up. I've been through it myself when I've bought and sold. They're really not that nice to deal with. And, you'd think there should be at least a bit of customer service skills there. Not everyone really has that. And then that will make you lose confidence because you're thinking, okay, well, how are they dealing with everybody else? Maybe this is why my property sat on the market for so long. It's so important to have that customer service. You have to feel, let me ring my agent with confidence, not.
I was almost tempted to say, you haven't phoned me at any point in time, have you, Anne-Marie?
Oh dear, but that is just so important, though. You need to feel confident at the other end of a phone that when you put the phone down, you're not meant to be disheartened. Your agent is like your friend for the next, foreseeable until you sell your property.
I think that's a really valid point that you make there, Anne-Marie. And Jim, let's be frank, you're a wee bit of a victim of your own success here, because quite often clients will phone us to say, I only want Jim and it has to be Jim and that's it. So we send Jim, and then Jim will go out and Jim will work his magic with the client, and then the client will have an expectation sometimes that Jim will do everything. Oh, but I thought Jim was doing the viewings, and I thought Jim was doing that, and I thought Jim was doing this. So the way that we overcome that
you can't afford Jim. Genuinely.
Well, it's about setting that scene at the beginning, isn't it? And I think that's where it all actually sounds obvious, but that's where it all starts. Of course it does. But for us, say Jim goes out, Jim will make that relationship happen with the client will come on board with us. As part of our onboarding, I will always reach out, or one of the team will always reach out to say, your meeting's gone great with Jim. You introduce ourselves. We've got a whole team that's here to support you. So right at the beginning, that person knows that actually they're getting that support from multi parts of it.
Yeah.
But actually, we're all Jim because we're all trained to be to that standard.
So it's same way every single week. That's what people don't realise. Every single week we have an estate agency trainer, one of the top in the UK, training us every single week, just like an Olympic athlete has a coach to get them to that level of expertise and discipline in terms of what they're doing. That's exactly why we do that every single time, come hell or high water. I think the important thing as well is what you say, Perry. There's an expectation that it's going to be one person taking all the way through. But you've got to understand then, if one person takes all the way through, it's almost like, I always say jack of all trades, master of them all, for myself anyway. But it's true in generality that jack of all trades, master of none. So, you gets to a point where you build a business and you become expertise in all the different fields and different disciplines when you initially build it. But then as you begin to grow, then you focus on the specialization of the area which you're really good at. And you then get someone else to pick up the tasks and train them to the standard that you've got, to the expertise of the other areas which can actually be delegated. And that's probably the most important thing in terms of what we're doing and how we're doing it. So that lots of expertise isn't diluted in the process. And that's why it's important then to have an estate agency trainer training you all the time and encouraging your staff and putting them on, courses and stuff like that to better their all-round being, and better their education level and their overall well-being as well. You know, that's the whole point. If you don't, and here's a classic example, somebody says, what happens if I invest in my staff and they leave? And my answer to that is, what happens if you don't invest in your staff and they stay?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not just that as well. It's not the investment in staff, and it's important that the team do support on every step, because also the client can potentially, that one person could almost be like their life raft. And if that one person isn't around when something doesn't work the way it needs to work, they need to have faith that someone else will take it on board. You know,
Absolutely.
People have holidays, people might be ill, their kid, they might have to take a day off to look after their kids, or, you know, something might happen in everyone's lives, because whilst we're working in a business, we've also got our lives as well. And so everyone needs to be part of everything, and having a customer relationship management system like our CRM system, and documenting everything and making sure that it's the mirror to all of our clients for everyone, no matter where you are or at what point in the day that you're interacting with the client. Everyone needs to be appraised of where we're at and how it's working, and the client should have that confidence actually that they're not just dealing with Perry or Jim or Anne-Marie, they're dealing with 5 properties or whatever the other agent is. They're dealing with everyone, and everyone is working as hard.
I think that then takes on to this question about they don't enjoy talking to their agent, or the relationship is less than ideal, to say that that's fine, we'll put you with someone else. You know, someone else in the business will pick that up, because all the information and documentation is there, and we're all trained to the same standard. There's another one here as well, which is probably the final one for me, is they've lost confidence in their agent finding them a buyer. You know, what do you do at that point in time? You just say it's all over? Or, you know, I mean, I'm not really sure what to do. I've never had the case where somebody's actually lost confidence in them and finding a buyer. I think it's more that their expectation is above what the actual market dictates. And they won't come to the realization of where they are right now and what they need to do in order to change that. It's the classic about, you know, I did have a conversation with someone the other day about, do you know you have enough money to retire for the rest of your life and do what you want to do when you want to do it? And that person can't comprehend that, because they don't know anybody in their circle of experience in order to, you know, to find that out. And it's regardless, so that they won't listen to it. And it's the same with a seller and a buyer. Potentially they just won't listen to what you're saying, because their beliefs and their expectations are completely different, if not in a line with the current state of the market. It's like, you know, people will argue over £1,000 or £5,000 when they've got a £500,000 house. And it's like, my God, in the scope of things to get the buyer, what's £1,000?
Nothing.
And then that's when they say, I've lost confidence in you. They don't. And you think to yourself, well, it's not really lost confidence in me. It's the fact that you don't listen to what I'm saying.
There is an element of that, and I think it goes down to what Anne-Marie was saying about how communication is so important, and we talked about it earlier on in this discussion, is the fact that it's that outsetting of expectation at the beginning. And actually, are you on a level of understanding? Do you understand your client and what they need and what the journey is that they're on? And does the client know how we will fulfill that? And if you can get that right at the beginning, actually, you should never have that breakdown moving forward.
Andrea's maybe putting a bit straightforward, where I'm a bit more diplomatic. That's unusual. But Andrea actually says, do you think that some sellers are getting greedy and turning down offers that are generally pretty good offers? Yes.
Absolutely.
That's probably it. But I don't think the word greedy. I don't think the word greedy is the word we should use. I think it's their expectations, because of the sudden change in the market. Everybody's still aligned without this education about where we are now. Without that education about where we are now, they're still sitting in that belief set that we've got a huge buoyant market, and then every man and their dog's wanting their house. Did you know there's 881 properties currently available for sale in Fife right now this morning? I just checked on Zoopla. That's 60% more on the market available to buy in Fife than there was 6 months ago. 60% more. People have more choice at different price points in different areas, at more appealing houses potentially now, because there's more on the market. That's why it takes a bit longer to sell. Now, if you take that 881 and divide it by the average number of houses sold every year, which is 6,500, and then multiply it by 52, you're now taking 7 weeks on average to sell a house. And then somebody's on to us 2 days later saying, how's my house no sell? Hello, 7 weeks on average, 2 days. better in 7 hours.
Yeah.
Unrealistic. Hey, I've had people do that. What's
Yeah.
happened? Why is it not sold in the pre-portal? It's like, okay, the pre-portal is only a precursor for it coming to market, and it's to excite somebody and actually almost like a teaser trailer like Star Wars. But there's different methods to pre-portal as well, and I'll not go into it now unless somebody wants to talk about that privately. I'll tell you what pre-portal is really all about. I mean, if one more of the things that rings that bell for you, changing estate agents could be your next step. Remember, there's no such thing as an unsellable home. This is what we're trying to point out. There's no such thing as an unsellable home, and it's never too late to start again. And there is a second chance to make a good first impression. We've talked about this before. There's secrets to that and techniques to that where you can deliver that house in a totally different light and it look like a totally different proposition to someone just by changing your agent to the right one. That's why I said the right one, by the way. That's us, by the way. You know me, I just shoot from the hip. It's like, come on. It's like, I'm not doing this round the houses. Oh, I wonder who that is. No, it's us. I know that. And that's the only reason I'm here, for that very purpose. That's the only reason I'm doing this right now. It's for that very purpose, because I have complete belief that we are the best proposition on the market right now for anybody out there selling their house. But they have to believe that for themselves.
Well, our recent awards from our client feedback and our customer service feedback kind of demonstrates that, doesn't it?
I suppose it does. Right, let's just one last thing about the awards, right? Okay, number 1 estate agent in Scotland, silver, and number 2 letting agent in Scotland, best in county, number 1 estate agent in Fife, the number 1 letting agent in Fife, and the best small group estate agency in Scotland as well. Right, that's them going back in the office now. Anyway, but I'll tell you what, the most important thing for me, and you can get them out, and to be honest, Chris Watkin usually says it to me. He says, Jim, it's only you and your mum that care about your awards. and that is the reality. It probably is. But more importantly, it's a third-party endorsement by your customers, because these are the only awards voted for by customers in the UK. Every other estate agency and letting agency award is not voted for by customers. It's by a panel of people who possibly phone you up now and again and just test that you can answer the phone correctly. That's not a great endorsement for a brand. Your customers are the best marketing tool you've ever got. They're your loyal following. They're the people who will stick with you and tell everyone else about you. So you'll live and die, as far as I'm concerned, on your customers. And that's where most of our business comes from. Right, let's talk about this. What is the benefits of changing a estate agent? Why would anybody want to do that?
Well, I think even if your home has been on the market for a long time, changing your estate agent might seem like a lot of hassle though as well, and pointless hassle at that to be. But doesn't every buyer just look at the same portals these days, Jim? No, yeah. It would be our view. But surely one agent, as much as the same as another, is also what we hear. Oh, estate agents, you're all the same.
We'll all put them on Rightmove, we'll all put them on Zoopla, we'll all put them on, we'll all put them on, but do we actually market them completely different? Yeah. There's a difference between, so putting on Rightmove and putting on Zoopla is advertising. Marketing is a different proposition, and it's marketing is the key that will get the person to pay the best price possible for that house and possibly turn somebody around who otherwise wouldn't buy your house to actually buying it. And that's clever marketing. That's key here. So there's a fundamental difference between advertising and marketing. After all, it's clever marketing. It'll get you to buy the second most popular drink in the world, which is Red Bull. Red Bull tastes absolutely horrible, and it comes in a smaller tin than Coca-Cola.
And costs 3 times the price.
That was not advertising. That was clever marketing. It is a premium brand, and it is disgusting to drink. And yet it's the second most popular drink in the world now. So it's marketing is the key here. Just elaborate a bit more then, Perry, about what you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there's real and tangible benefits for changing your estate agent. And there's elements to that. Your property immediately resets as a new listing. So that's also very positive. So suddenly it can look as a new thing in regards to what people see. Again, we're talking about the portals, you know, it's a relisting on the portals. And again, how your agent or the new agent will present the property will make it look different. We've had that ourselves, Jim, haven't we? Where we've actually sold property where we've sold one in the block, someone else has sold another in the block, and there's been very different outcomes because of how we've marketed rather than how we've advertised.
45,000 pounds of a very different outcome.
Exactly.
Oh,
for exactly the same
another
thing.
one actually. There's another one which is 115,000 pounds of an outcome different within a week.
Yep.
That's, I mean, for me, that tells everything. That's about clever marketing. That's technique and expertise, and that's us retargeting and putting out to the right audience. It's interesting that you said it's you know, property reset with a new listing on the property portals. It won't reset, and if you're with the same estate agent, if they take it off and put it on within a 16-week period, because there's penalties in that in Rightmove. You don't actually know, they don't allow you to do it. It just goes on as a normal listing again, and it gets it gets put on the historical information, because a lot of agents used to do this before. Now there's a recent estate agent that actually moved all their listings to a different branch, and that's how they did it. And then they moved them all back to the same branch about 2 weeks later. That's a huge rigmarole to do that. And to be honest, if an estate agent has to do that, there's fundamentally something wrong with their system in advertising. If they feel they have to cheat people that way. That's what I would say. Yeah.
I think it goes back as one of the other things that we see. I mean, for us, certainly, when we get a new listing, there's nothing more exciting than when we've got a new property coming to market. We love it, Anne-Marie, don't we? It kind of gives you a real buzz, and you've got a new property coming, and you're dealing with a whole new audience that are kind of exciting with that as well. So, you know, that's another reason for it. So if you've got a new agent with multiple people involved in the potential sale of your property, they're driven to get your result. And also, if you've swapped agents, actually, let's be honest, it puts your new agent under a lot of pressure, because they have probably said to you, bring it with us and we'll sell it for you then. So actually, not only do they want to sell it, they've got to prove that they can sell it now as well. So there's a big drive for that, isn't there, Jim?
That's where it comes down to as well, is the new agent actually telling you the truth in the first place in order to get the listing. In other words, being realistic and not just saying, oh, well, it's just their marketing. It could be the fact that the photographs are different, the description's different. It could be the fact that the price points should be different. So there's all different fundamentals, and a genuine estate agent will probably tell you the truth rather than actually just tell you what you want to hear to get the board. Because listen, I'll be honest, I'm very cynical about the whole industry. I'm kind of like the Chris Eubank of boxing or estate agency. It's like I only do it because I love doing it, and I love the deal, and I love the thrill, and I love exceeding people's expectations. And this is a great vehicle for me to do that. And get them what they really want out of life. Hence the reason why we've got helping you manage life as it happens, and it's not selling your house quick as possible.
I think that's a really good point that you're making there about, you know, selling, not just selling a house. It's, you talked about it being the biggest tax-free asset that people have, but actually it's the one thing that all of us need is our home. And there's so many things connected with your home that go through every vein of your life and your extended family's life. And so actually when a person decides that they are going to be moving that home, they could be moving from the home, they're downsizing, say, they're moving from that house that they've lived in for 20, 30 years, they've raised their family. It's a massive emotional decision as well for a lot of people to move house. Or it could be emotional because it's a separation, and so there's a lot of pressure points there as well. So there's multiple reasons why it's happening. So it's so important actually that they're getting the right guidance and that they have a strong relationship with the person that they've chosen to do that with. Yeah.
Here's the other benefit of changing the estate agent. You'll have the benefit of hindsight and the experience to ask the right questions for your next agent. That would then tell me that the first agent actually didn't answer these questions in the first place. If they have to do that. So it's all about covering. I sometimes go to people and it's almost like War and Peace. When I explain to them what I do, and then I get to the end of it and say, hopefully I've managed to differentiate myself completely at the other end of the spectrum to every other estate agent in your mind. And 99 times out of 100, everybody goes, absolutely. I can see a clear fundamental difference in terms of what you're doing to what everyone else is doing. The new photos actually taken from different angles are a really good one. And a new description can make the home look fresh on the market and catch the eye of the buyers. There's another one who have missed on it before or discounted it in the first place. You know, just that different. And that's what I said. This property sourcer actually came up with photographs of a house that looked completely different. I actually had to question them and say, is that the same house that's on with that agent? I went, aye. I went, okay, I'll buy it.
Yeah, photographs are so important. They really are. You know, when you see a house, when you look at the description, it looks lovely. The photograph, you think, it could be a nice big room, and they've only taken a picture of maybe a corner of it. They're not showing it in its natural, and it's great.
Yeah.
Like, people just keep scrolling.
I think it's because people are convinced it's a lot of people out there. Maybe you'll be able to tell me, anybody watching or listening in out there, they're convinced that you can take just as good a photograph on your phone. And I do think quite a few estate agents actually go out and just take photographs on their phone. When I actually used to do things like, I didn't used to use phones. We used to use SLR cameras, digital cameras, and we used to take them ourselves. I even went on photography courses. But then I tell you what, when I saw a professional, this is where I come back to everybody's master of their own trade. This is where I came back to seeing professional photographers, and the one that we've got especially. And I saw what she did in comparison to what I did, because everybody says mine was stunning and they want to buy their house after they've seen mine. But just for me, that just slight 1% improvement in terms of the photographs, in my mind, made a fundamental difference to say every single property gets professional photographs from now on.
Yeah.
Because it makes a fundamental difference.
Definitely.
It so does. And see the feedback that we get as well. So you always describe it, Jim, as you or I are a bit like Gordon Ramsay, because nothing kind of goes over the past unless we sign off on it. And so when the photographs and the descriptions are done, the final sign off is done by either you or myself. And when we send those out to the clients, honestly, I can hand on heart say that every single time, 100%, the first bit of feedback that we get from them is, oh my God, the photos are amazing. I want to buy my own house now. It's making me think about whether I want to sell it or not.
Now, there's hit the nail on the head. If I can get the seller to say, I want to buy my own house, I can get anybody to say that.
Yeah.
Because they've lived in their house and they know everything it's possibly not great with their house. Mm-hmm. And maybe some of the reasons they're why moving. But still, at that point of seeing this for the first time, they then say to themselves, oh my God, I want to buy the house again.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's it. The magic has been done. We've achieved 1 point of that. 1 point, I would say. That's not the overall thing.
No,
then there's the next step, there's the next step, there's the next step, there's the next step. There's all these different steps to tick the boxes in a buyer's mind in order to get them over the hurdle and get them to that stage where they'll go, I'll give you an offer at this point that you cannot refuse.
Yeah. I had that situation last week, actually. So don't know if everyone was aware we were in London last weekend. Were you aware of that? Anyway, because we were in London last weekend, the photographs and the home report, etc., had all been done by our team. But I was to go out and do my video, and I only managed to go out and do the video on Tuesday because we were away, and the weather on Monday was pouring the rain, and we wanted to do a really nice video. And I turned up at the door, and literally as soon as the client opened the door, I never even got to say hello. She went, oh my God, have you seen the photos? Aren't they amazing? I was like, yeah, they're fantastic. And she was just thrilled to bits. Makes a big difference.
Good, definitely.
Absolutely. So what about reviewing your current agent's performance then? Let's talk about that. What are the things that we should be looking out for? I mean, whether you're thinking of changing estate agents, take a few moments to look back over the time when you've been on the market, from the interest you've had to the experience that you've had with your agent. What sort of bullet points should we be thinking about, Anne-Marie?
Well, again, it goes back to communication. Are they giving you feedback? Are they keeping you up to date with what's happening in terms of not just viewings, how many home reports they maybe have sent out, how many inquiries have come in, that sort of thing. So again, communication. Did you get a friendly welcome sort of response when calling your agent? Just dealing with your sale. Your
that's a really good one. I'm going to point out an analogy that happened yesterday to me. I phoned someone after saying them, can I do a video with you and all the rest of it to promote your organization? And they went, absolutely. I think most people don't realize I'm about to give them a big check, but I don't tell people that anyway. So I phoned them yesterday and they went, oh, right, okay. They answered the phone and they went through all the conversation and they went, all right, okay. I'm with other team just now. Can you just phone me back later on? And I thought, you've just knocked me back. If I said I was the BBC, you would have told everybody else to go and do one and actually listen to what I was saying. So at that point, I thought, I'm not bothered. I'm going to see them now. Somebody else is going to get the check. That's it. Nutshell. It's unfortunate, but that's the reality. It's like, it's the way you treat people as a fundamental thing. And it's like what you say, do you actually feel that you're a nuisance to that person? And I actually genuinely felt I was a nuisance to that. I want to give you money to help you. Oh, can you phone me back later? Sorry, what?
Yeah.
I think as Brits, though, we can be a bit like that, though, isn't it? We almost apologise for things. It's like if you're in the supermarket, you bump into someone, you go, oh, sorry. And if we phone somebody, oh, I'm sorry to be a nuisance, I'm sorry I'm phoning you again. So it's like there's almost apologising for that interaction, when actually that's what we're there for. Phone us as often as you like.
Well, that's why I've said that time and time again, even on my way. It's like, just phone me on the mobile if you really need me and you need to talk to me about something. That's no problem. At weekends, at nights and everything, folk go, we'll make a decision over the weekend and we'll speak to you on Monday. And I went, well, God, if you make a decision by tonight, phone me. Even if it's 12 o'clock at night, phone me. If I'm ready to answer the phone, I'll answer it and say we're ready to go. And I'll get things rolling over the weekend. It's like, for me, it's like, it's part of what I do. And I've got to be honest, it defines me. Customer service and the way I do things defines who I am and what I do. And a lot of people say, oh, my job would never define me. It's like, that's not a job to me. It's just what I do day in, day out. And I love doing it. Imagine getting up every single morning and loving the thing you do and punching the air and going, hallelujah. Right now, what we are doing. I love this every single day. And the great thing is, I actually get paid to do it.
Yeah.
Hello?
I know. And I think actually, when you say that and you've pointed to your phone, this is huge for us. It plays a big part in our marketing, not our advertising, but our marketing. But actually in the whole communication piece with our clients as well, it does, because our clients, we've got WhatsApp groups set up as soon as we list the property. We can message us anytime they want. And quite often a client will message, they might, at the end of the night, they're going to bed or whatever, and they'll send a quick message thinking, I'll leave that and they'll deal with it for me tomorrow. And I've literally responded immediately and they'll go, oh, thanks for the response. I wasn't expecting that till tomorrow or till Monday. I
get that as well. Oh,
surprise. Exactly. But that's what makes you different.
Yeah.
So here's some of the things to review your agent's performance. Are the photograph and description compelling combination, or does it do you justice? Does it entices people actually to call? How many viewings has your agent had, and how does it compare to their homes? Their marketing. That's another great thing to ask your agent. Has your agent's sold homes similar to yours nearby, or are you just the odd one out among their actual listings itself? Is your asking price the one your agent advised, and does it reflect recent nearby comparable sales? That is important as well. And I mean, even though they advise the right price in the beginning, as their properties come on, it will now influence that price point and actually not make yours as competitive as it was before. That's another key thing to think about. Is there properties come on recently which actually makes yours not at the great price point it should be now? So should you be actually realigning? I mean, there's only one person that could buy that other property. But if that one person is the only person in the marketplace and you're desperate, you want to sell, then you'd probably need to come to the realization that you need to realign your price. And I say realign, not reduce, because nobody's asking you to get less for your house. All we're asking is realign to push it back up. Think about that.
To attract the right buyer as well. It could be the buyer's just not seen it yet.
Has your agent made any suggestions around the presentation, either when they first met or in response to the comment for viewers as well? Have you had that valuable feedback about it's maybe a bit less, it's maybe needing a bit more work than what I thought? Okay, great stuff. Where do you think it's needing the work? Oh, it's needing this, that, and this, and that. Okay, if I can demonstrate, what do you think that's going to cost? Well, it's going to cost about £40,000. Okay, if I can demonstrate to you that's going to cost £20,000, would you be interested in buying it? Absolutely. Okay, let me take you through this. Windows, I can get you a quote for that. This kitchen, I can get you a quote for that. The heating system, I can get you a quote for that. And then we'll put it all together. We'll get the right price point. Now, I know before I've started that journey, by the way, being a seasoned property investor for the last 30 years, at that price point of 20,000 is achievable.
Yeah. I think
I know the sales coming in, the offers coming in anyway, regardless. That's where the expertise.
It is. And actually, it's also about the fact that we're not just selling a house. It's everything else that you do amongst that, isn't it? So I have a lady who is selling an apartment with us who had a tenant in there who's moved out, but the lady doesn't live locally. And so wanted it deep cleaned, didn't know companies, didn't know how to go about it. You know, obviously because of what we do and because of our property management side of our business, we were able to help her with that. And we sourced a company that was able to go in, deep clean it overnight. She's absolutely thrilled. We can get fantastic photos done now. She can market it with confidence that it's in the best condition it can be in. That was all hassle-free for our client.
Yeah. Finally, for me, for the accurate picture of how your home has been handled, ask a willing friend or a relative to pose as a buyer. I've had this in the past where people have actually tested us and we've come out on top, so we're fine. And call the agent about your home to test your current agent's talents. Here's a really good one. Now you'll know whether they want to stay with them or if it's time to say goodbye. You know, classic example is, does your agent come back to you over the weekend? Do they have an answer machine? Does anybody come back after the message is left on the answer machine? That's another one as well. If it's really important and it's something you need to know now, and somebody says they're just in the area at that point in time, maybe that's a bit more urgent than it is. But if your team that you've got on your behalf, working on your behalf, only turns up on Monday morning and listens to their answer machine then when everything's passed, yeah, you've no got a chance. Hence the reason why we get cover over the weekend and we make sure all the emails are actually dealt with each morning to make sure everything's on track. So we're hitting Monday morning at the same pace off the weekend as well. So hit the ground running. That's
it's also about
not a stop and start system.
Yeah, but it's all about the sale as well. I mean, we had a situation yesterday. We've got a property in Newborough that just completed yesterday, and the lady that's purchasing it lives in the East Nook. Has to rely on public transport. She's a bit of an older lady. Was worried about how she was going to get her key, and the seller came in to drop the keys in the afternoon, and we were having a chat with her. It was one of the listings that I had kind of started off with a relationship with. So we're chatting away with the client, and she says, I'm just a bit concerned how the buyer's going to get the key. And I said, don't worry about that, because Anne-Marie, bless her, is going along the East Nook today after the show to do some viewings. And Anne-Marie has arranged to meet the new buyer and hand her over her keys so she can get organised over the weekend, so she can move to a new house in a hassle. And it's all those little things that just make us a wee bit different.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I was happy to do it. It was like, oh, I'm in the East Nook tomorrow. You don't have to get on a bus. I'll come and drop it to your door. I've even got a gift box for her as well.
Brilliant. Fantastic. We need to get some photographs of that. People don't know we're doing things like this.
Yeah, I'll get a picture.
So have you decided that's the case and it's bye-bye to your existing estate agent? How do you select a new estate agent? If you've decided you want to change, well, here's some things to consider. I'm just going to quickly rattle through this. Because we've got a lot to get through. We've got about another 13 minutes left. Search the property portals for similar homes to yours and check the agent's websites to find the best marketing, not advertising. What would draw you in? What would make you feel enticed to buy one of their properties? That's exactly the same reason that someone else like you will think that as well. By the way, there's 4 different groups of people that work on different levels: smell, sight, taste, sound. If you tick all these boxes, you've got a winner. Speak to your second and third choice estate agents from when you actually first hand around your home to get their valued updates on their thoughts on price, market conditions, and their campaign. Look around your local streets for boards from other agents selling your home like yours. When you invite your agents into your home, do they support their suggested asking price with recent comparable sales? You know, justify that. Valuing a property isn't about going round and going, I think it's 300,000. Right, that's it, bye. It's like, no, where do you get the 300,000 from? How do you come to that assumption? Show me information and evidence of prices of properties round in the area which have sold at that level that are similar to mine, or propositions that might be a wee bit bigger than mine. It might actually work that out on price per square meter wise. In other words, if you're £2,000 per square meter and you've got 100,000, you've got 100 square meter property, then you're a £200,000 property. Make sense?
Yeah.
Or if you've recently bought your property 2 years ago, and indexation suggests in the last 2 years property prices have gone up about 20%, then if you bought it for 200,000, then your property will be round about the 240,000 mark, and then you look at properties that are actually about the 240,000 mark on the property websites just now and say, what is your property in relation to them? Would you buy yours first or would you buy theirs first? And if your problem is you'd buy yours first before you buy theirs first, now being unbiased, by the way, would you buy yours first before theirs? Then your property might be worth just that wee bit more. If you won't, and you buy theirs first before you buy yours, then your property worth but just that wee bit less. That's how you know the accurate pricing point. Now, that's what an estate agent should be telling you. Check the terms of the business of the contract lengths, notice periods, and whether any costs are payable up front or if it's a completely no sale, no fee proposition. That's a key one here as well. I've seen agents in the past actually come to me, or sellers come to me and said, I'm wanting to switch estate agents, but they're actually got me in a 6-month contract or a 3-month contract. There's a well-known big corporate estate agent who actually do 3-month contracts and you can't change. And I'm like, really? It's like, if you've got to the point of no return and somebody really wants to leave you, maybe it's time just to let them go. I would say. Bad for business if you don't.
Yeah.
Try asking them to lower their commission rate, not to pay less, but to find the strongest negotiator. The best agents aren't usually the cheapest. See, you didn't think I was going to say that, because everybody was like, what? Try asking them to lower their commission rate. There was a gasp there. I could almost hear it between you two. It was like,
I was like, what are they on about?
And it's not to pay less. This is a good test for an estate agent. Try asking them to lower their commission rate, not to pay less, but to find out the strongest negotiator. Which one of them is actually going to be able to hold your trust at their price of their commission is correct, and they're giving you that value-added proposition. That is the best negotiator, by the way, and that is the person who'll get you thousands more at the end overall than the hundreds of pounds you're trying to save in your fees. Remember, you only pay when you get an offer that you want to accept. That's the only reason you pay your estate agent. Other than that, you don't pay them because that's the sale fee. It's only when you get the price that you want is the price that you pay them. So that's why you want to get the best negotiator. The best agents, again, as I say, are typically not the cheapest. If somebody walks in the door and says, I'll do it for, oh, what are they doing it for? Oh, they're doing it for 1.5. Oh, well, I'll do it for 0.9. If your agent says that straight away, they've got no negotiation at all. What do you think they're going to do when it comes to negotiating the price of your house with a buyer? Oh, I'm not prepared to give you, 250,000 that you want. I can give you 220. Okay, then that's fine. I'll take it to the seller. That's what that sounds like in a different form on the other side.
Yeah, that's a flip. Yeah.
Finally, ask yourself which agent's company you enjoyed the most. That's a good one. Your relationship is going to last a good few months, if not for the rest of your life, because it's a customer for life as far as I'm concerned. Whatever problem or challenge you've got in your life, I've probably come across it, or somebody in our company's come across it, or I know somebody else outside of our company that's come across it, and I'll be able to help you with that route. If you want to find the best shoes, I could tell you the best shoe shop. There's the value add. You want to find the best food, could deal with the best food shops. But these are all the things that you should know, and your estate agent should know, because it's not just a house you're selling, it's a lifestyle that goes with it.
Yeah.
So whoever you choose, you should be somebody you trust and somebody you like to speak to every single week. Changing estate agents correctly. You want to finish off here, Perry, and talk about this?
Yeah, I mean, after you've settled on your new estate agent and they're going to take over the sale of your house, there are some steps that you need to take. And they can be seamless switches, but you have to make sure you've got no loose ends. And on that score, it's, give your current agent notice in line with the terms of your contract, and request a response. Because it might be quite easy for them to say, actually, we didn't see that, even though they did.
Yeah.
Get a list of names of the people who've viewed your property so you can inform your next agent of them to avoid any paying double fees. Because what you don't want to be doing is going with another agent, they actually get the repeat buyer, because then you need to pay both agents. So be careful on that. That's a big part.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I would be careful, and it's the thing that, and I will say it for the agent that you're possibly going to leave, is like, if you are genuinely due them the money, then you should be paying them the money, and you shouldn't be changing them just because you think you can get it cheaper somewhere else. Quite interestingly enough, I'll say a couple of hellos and good mornings. Good morning, Andrea. We've obviously spoken already. Good morning, Angela. Good morning, Colette. Yeah, absolutely. So just what are the next things you would talk about, Perry?
You need to instruct your existing agent to hand over keys. Obviously, they hold the keys to your property because they've been marketing it. So it's important that they're passed on to your new agent. Ask your new agent for any recommendations over minor repairs or the presentation, so you can get ready for when you take your new photographs. Because, you know, part of the reason you might be switching is because the property is not being marketed the way you want it to. So it's really important for the new agent to understand your pain points as the seller, and how can we maybe rectify those. So we absolutely don't want to repeat the mistakes. You know, we talk about where we're different, but some of the functionalities are the same, but it's the same but different. And you want to make sure that you achieve that, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Craig actually says quite a good one. He says, this is a question, does changing your description put the property back up the listing? Yes, it potentially can, but you have to have it worded properly in order to do it, because Google loves new content. So if you have a description and then you change that description and put the right keywords into that description, and it indexes up with the keywords that are on your website or the area you're in, then potentially it will actually move it up the rankings, and it will become more important. So when somebody does go to Google, for example, and just types in that address, because they maybe walk past it without actually contacting an agent, it possibly comes up straight away because it's all keyworded for that property. The changing the description is as well, it could be the case that a lot of agents use clinical descriptions. They just use a summary and they just use bullet points. That's the end of it. But we do full-blown emotive description in the beginning, which is the summary, which is catches somebody. It's like a fishing exercise, catches somebody to click through with the photographs. Once they click through, then they can see the full detail and content as well. But then it goes into the full detail as well as the talk through video, as well as possibly the location tour as well. So the personal property tour combined with the location tour in some places, which will actually add value, enhance that listing as well. So there's a lot of different combinations. That is one of them, Craig. Absolutely. You've hit the nail on the head. It is a key one for some people. As I said, the 4 different senses. Some people are actually quite visual. The photographs tick the box. I was in with somebody yesterday and says, "What's the first response for you? What do you like about what I do?" The husband said, "I love the videos." It says the videos are the thing that switches me on straight away. And his wife actually says it's the photographs that does it for me. So 2 different things. One's quite auditory, and the other one's quite visual and how they respond. So it's just different things will different appeals to different people in the different categories and the different groups. So you want to make sure you target all the audiences by incorporating everything in that marketing exercise for your property. Sorry, Perry, go on.
No, that's fine. So I think, you know, you're making a valid point, so it's good to share that. But I think you also need to talk to your agent about what's best for selling your home. You know, do you want to do a same-day switch? Do you want to do a relaunch immediately? Or actually, is it worth taking a wee short break and just letting it breathe a minute to recapture? You know, so there's ways of doing that. And it will depend on the story behind the house and the story behind the journey that you've been on till that point of changing. So I think that's important. But I think with all that in place, you'll certainly be set for a clean break and a fresh start, and get your house move underway, which really is ultimately what this whole discussion is about. I
tell you what I get coming up just briefly before we finish off. I get coming up every single time. It's going to cost me a fortune to change. No, it's no, because you're no need to get a new home report because your house is still continually marketed. So you can use the existing home report, so you don't pay for that either. You just switch over to the next agent, and if you can coincide it at the right time, the photographs, descriptions, and everything else can be done at the same time as you're switching agents. So it can work like that, or you can take the break. Again, it's taking the professional advice from that. With all that in place, you'll be all set for that clean break and the fresh new start to get your new home underway. Let's wrap this up. Anne-Marie, final words on this.
So I think it's really important what we were talking about today with switching agents. You just touched on a point there. It's not going to be an expensive thing. You've got time to reevaluate. In hindsight, what did you do wrong? What can you do now? Communication. You know, just make sure that you don't make the same mistakes as you did with your old agent. You know, and just moving forward, you got a fresh start, a second chance.
Perry.
For me, it's about the relationship, and that's got to be the key in everything. It can't always be a monetary thing. Yes, there's monetary behind it, but it can't always be a decision made on the monetary aspect. It has to be a decision made on the journey that you're on, where you want to be, and how do you get there, and picking the person that's going to partner you to do that. Yeah.
For me personally, if it's changing estate agents, it's actually a great golden opportunity to look at what the other person's done and where all the failings have happened and all the successes have happened as well. You know, without any failure, there can be no victory. In reality, show me a person that's never failed, and I'll show you somebody that's never achieved. And it's learning from that same whole thing. I think that's where we are right now, learning from that. One of my previous trainers actually said he used to take property off everybody all the time, and he used to phone around all the buyers that viewed before and actually get all the feedback for them, and then that would then set his marketing plan for the next phase. And he often just sold them like that. And that's who I was trained from, one of the top estate agents in Scotland. And that's it. That's us, guys, for this week. Thank you very much for coming on the show, Perry and Anne-Marie. Thanks, everybody, for taking part and asking questions, Angela. And until next week, see you later.